Hello, my lovely dreamers. I hope you're having an incredible day. Happy Monday. I hope you are having an incredible start to your week. What's up, Greg? What's up, Dustin? How's it going? Hey, fresh back from the sphere. What's up, dude? It's been a second. Were you here last? Not last week, but the week before? I feel like I haven't seen you for a sec. Thanks for coming to hang out. I'm so excited about this topic today, guys. I wrote an entire document on everything I want to touch on in this because it's such an important topic to me. This truly is one of my biggest passions that I am like constantly studying, even in my own time. And I really want to bridge the gap between science and manifestation, or what we believe to be the gap in between. Personally, I believe that the way to change our lives is to change our inner environment, change the way we think, feel, believe, and react and respond to things outside of us. But there's simple methods that we can implement to make this process so much easier. And there is such a stigma around manifestation. I really want to break all of this down for you guys and really show you how you can, especially if you're more of a reasonable, logical thinker, you like to see how things work. That's how I am as well. And that's why I have found this to be the most effective practice for me, because we don't realize how much the record of everything that we've been up into this point is creating our next moments and how we show up in those moments. And I have resources for you guys to go look up later. I have stuff from different neuroscientists that have talked about creating the life of our dreams and using manifestation, and I have a whole document that I have created for us so that you have as much information as possible. And of course, I will link all resources and everything like that after. So thanks for hanging out, guys. So good to see you again. Kid 90 Plays, what's up? Eric, how's it going? Good to see you guys. I'm so excited. So first, before we get started, I wanted to mention that this helped me realize kind of the realm that I play in on my YouTube channel. I realized that my job is kind of like in the liminal, so like in the in-between state, what's proven and what isn't as explored. I love that middle ground. I feel like my whole channel has been built off of a world we can't see, obviously, from dreaming and all of these interesting experiences we can have, and pushing its limitations with how we can use it in our waking reality. And I feel like everything that I learn is the same way, including the science of the brain. How can we use our biology and our internal world to create change on the outside? Even if it's not something that is super explored, even within lucid dreaming, if there is a way that I can somehow tie my practices together, or there's a way that I can find, there's always a way, I feel like, to have our practices feed one another. And this personal, what we're going to talk about today with the science of the brain, personal development, and how that actually is creating the roadmap to the life that we desire, that's really, really where a lot of my passion is, because we have no idea that 95 to 97% of our brain is from the past. How we show up today is from our unconscious programs. So we're going to chat today. We're going to get all into it, and I'm really, really excited. So first, let's talk about neuroscience and manifestation. Where is the gap between these two? So I have a little blurb that I got from a research paper I was reading online. It says, manifestation, the idea that we can will our desires into existence, has been a topic of fascination for centuries. Dr. Doty, an American neurosurgeon, has spent his entire career studying the scientific basis behind the concept and has found that there is indeed a neurological explanation for why Buddhist practices are so respected and how they actually do have an impact on our brain and the experience we have on the outside. It says, our brain is constantly creating neural connections based on our thoughts, emotions, and experiences. And when we focus intently on something, whether it's exercising or manifesting our desires, these neural connections become stronger and more prominent. Therefore, when we focus our thoughts and energy on a particular goal or desire, the brain can actually rewire itself to take action towards making it a reality. So even just setting the goalpost, the idea for where you want to go, as soon as you decide something that you wish to experience, one of your brain's jobs is to help you get there. And your brain is working overtime on this, even when you aren't paying attention, even when you're dreaming, even when you are not even paying attention to anything. Your brain, once you have set a goal, it is constantly looking for solutions to help you fulfill that. And that is part of where our spontaneous ideas come in. This is where we can have those moments of clarity where we thought there was no solution. Our brain is always working on bringing information to us to make it easier to achieve the life that we want to experience. So neuroscientist Dr. Tara Swart says, as a scientist, if I were to say to you that manifestation is not much more than you setting a goal and making it come true in real life, then there shouldn't be any argument that it can be quite scientific. Dr. Tara Swart says that cognitive science, so psychology and neuroscience, is a key to explaining manifestation. Cognitive science can be used to uncover the most efficient process or step to accomplishing our goals, dreams, and desires, allowing us to use our internal state to create a change we can witness in our personal, external world. But first, let's clear up the idea of what we believe manifesting is. Because like when we talk about manifesting, we aren't talking about just doing a mantra and then $1 million appears in your bank account. Like when I talk about this online, sometimes I will get like a couple comments that's like, oh, so if I could just close my eyes right now, then I'm going to see a Ferrari in my driveway. It's like, are you really dedicated to thinking of this all in that way? Like we really need to open our minds to even what the word manifest means and how it actually comes in. So first of all, manifestation, these are some of the actual things that we manifest that come into our internal state. It can come in the form of experiences, so we can manifest experiences, and this is through action and backed science of our brain searching for evidence through the information we feed it. So whatever information you are feeding the brain, it is now looking for evidence in the external world that is true, and that is where your awareness is. Whatever belief or statement you give to your brain, if it really does believe that is true, it is going to start looking for evidence of that, regardless if it's something that's actually helping you or something that you don't necessarily want, but you just didn't know you were giving your brain the wrong type of feedback. So experiences are something that we can manifest. Ideas are something we can manifest, and this is through using our external environment or using thought in the internal environment. We can manifest feelings, and this comes from the thoughts that we think or by current neural connections we have from past experiences. So feelings and emotions are wired in the body, so when we have an experience that reminds us of an old experience that we had, maybe we weren't safe in that old experience or something, we will experience those exact same feelings connected to that past experience, even though that past experience really has no basis in reality or how this new experience is going to affect you. We also manifest in the form of lessons. So we can create a positive bias by looking for the lesson or gain in each of our experiences. Now we know that we have a bias, right? And we call this the confirmation bias. And naturally, a part of our biology is to have a negative bias, and this actually helps us survive. You know, it's a natural part of our biology where we're constantly looking for things that we need to stay away from, things that we need to understand in order to stay protected. And so we naturally have this bias. But what makes up our bias? Like what parts of the brain even make up the bias in the first place? Well, the bias is made up of three main parts. It's made up of the amygdala, the hippocampus, and the prefrontal cortex. And that's kind of like the control panel for our bias. So the amygdala is what fires up our fears, and that's what allows fears to manifest once they are wired into the body. The hippocampus records our memories, and the prefrontal cortex controls our ability to reason and reconsider. So the hippocampus is our brain's memory bank, And this is the part of our brain that notes the associations we make and reminds us of them later on. So even if let's say that you are in a new relationship or you really, really like someone and everything's going really well, but your hippocampus is going to activate if one thing that person does reminds you of your toxic ex. And all of a sudden, this is now going to create new thoughts and new feelings in the body, and you're going to perceive that person in a different way because of old wired-in information. So this means that the default program for new experiences is to pull from old information. That's why if we rely on old information that's already within us, we're going to repeat old lessons. We're going to have the same thoughts, the same feelings, the same experiences, and we're going to feel stuck. So in order to change our natural perceptions, our thoughts, feelings, and beliefs about experiences we encounter, we must create new sets of information tied with repetition. And one of the brain's jobs is to operate as it is programmed. That's why if you feed your brain a new idea like, oh, things don't work out for me or this or that, even if whether that's true or not, one of your brain's jobs is to operate as it was programmed and to support you in whatever you tell it. But we can change that program. There was an article by Psychology Today on neuroplasticity, and it says, sometimes it's difficult to develop new habits, thought patterns, or social skills, even if we want to. But a few concrete steps can help rewire responses that seem to be entrenched in the brain. First, label the response that you want to change. Second, identify the new response that you want to develop. Third, explore what factors might reduce the unwanted response and to boost the desired response. Lastly, repeatedly practice the new response so that it becomes ingrained. So you may have heard of this, and this is called neuroplasticity. So a significant contributor to neuroplasticity, the ability to rewire our brain, is the adult hippocampal neurogenesis, the process by which new neurons are generated from adult neural stem cells. So what this means is firing new neurons means acting outside of your current wired program. But those new neurons that fire together, those eventually wire together and become a part of our memory bank. So we can literally change our brain and the programs that it has using neuroplasticity and firing new neurons together. And really what this means is new experiences. Maybe you encounter an old experience, but now you handle it in a new way. It's kind of like when we talk about the ideal self, it's using that model of yourself that you've created to show up as much as possible throughout your life. And we can see that from Psychology Today, that actually does have some scientific backing with actually creating a change in not only how we process new experiences, but how we wire new neurons together as well. John, hello, good to see you. Elderflower citrus tea, that sounds so heavenly. Oh my goodness. So really, all you really need to know about neuroplasticity is that your brain can change when you implement new information and when you practice new responses to old stimuli. That is going to be what breaks down your old program and allows you to create a new current program that will support you in creating life that you desire by thoughts, feelings, and behavior. That's really what makes up our personality. That's literally how we show up. We kind of identify with that, how we think, how we act, and how we feel. And if we change our identity, if we work on these things and look at that version of ourselves that we desire to bring into the now, that will literally change our brain. And if we do that consistently, then that will eventually overwrite the old program. So, using the power of your brain to change your brain. Like many parts of the brain's limbic system, the hippocampus is involved in memory, learning, and emotion. So, let's talk about how we can actually use this to our advantage to create the life that we want. There's two main points here. First, rewriting our old story and memory. So if the hippocampus is involved in memory, learning, and emotion, what would happen if we accessed our memory, looked at our old story, and saw how we actually learned from these experiences and tied a new emotion to that memory? It actually writes our story in our brain, so we are not a victim to our experiences. We now see the gains or the lessons in those, and that literally allows us to change our brain and act differently when we come in contact with similar experiences. So, rewriting our old story in memory. Our story is where most of our beliefs and perceptions have been created. Rewriting your old story, so finding what you gained from your experiences and why it was necessary to help you grow, will help you change the emotion tied to those old experiences, which will then change how you think, feel, and behave in future experiences, giving you the ability to externalize this internal change. We don't think that our old story or our old experiences really affect now, but what if I told you your identity is literally tied to your old story? So whatever meaning you give that old story, that is the evidence your brain is now searching for in waking life. Like, you can also see this by, of course, we've all went through like really, really, really difficult situations, but you've probably met someone who is kind of stuck in that past loop, right? And every situation that they experience, maybe it confirms their old story. So maybe like they went through a nasty divorce, right? And so they believe that there's no good men, or maybe, there's no good women, or whatever it was. And because you have such a strong emotion to that past experience and you've given it so much meaning, it has become a part of your identity, and now that's where confirmation bias comes in now. You see, like, it now doesn't change what's actually happening on the outside, but it allows you to hyper focus into that one point that makes you think that you are confirming that belief all over again. Like, if you don't change the lesson or the emotion that you have with that past story, you're going to run into that same situation or lesson and same emotion in different ways. And so this literally allows us to rewrite history and how we show up. It's super, super cool. This was really helpful to me because I dealt with like a lot of trouble as a kid. Like, I just didn't feel like I had any safe space to like express myself. I didn't feel safe around the adults I was around. I got really bullied all through school, like literally starting in preschool. And so I had this like identity that it was hard for me to show up as me. And if I did, I wasn't going to be loved or accepted. And little did I know that literally controlled how I showed up all through school. That affected my confidence, and I like affirmed, I like the information I got from the outside kept affirming that story that I was holding on to. I'm telling you, the meaning that you give things is literally what you're going to experience. Please listen to that. For example, let's say that you're trying to stop smoking, but you identify with the identity of being a smoker. Your ego, your brain loves to feel like it has an identity because that helps it feel grounded and real in the experience. It helps it feel safe. Your brain thinking or knowing that it has a specific identity. So if you try to quit smoking, but you still identify really heavy with the label of being a smoker, you will realize that that unconscious program overwrites your new actions you're trying to implement constantly. And every time you stop smoking, that mind chatter will kick up really, really loud because your brain's program is controlling what the mind tells you. And so it's truly all connected in our identity and the meanings that we give things. So that is one way that I really, really, really recommend changing how you think, feel, and behave in new situations, is looking back at the story that you've already created and that you've already had up until this point and see how you can rewrite it. And by the way, I'm going to give you guys a whole list of all of my favorite practices that I feel like have been like so crucial to me in this whole process. And there's one regarding rewriting the story, and I'm telling you, I created this document off of everything that feels true and is true and I'm passionate about, and everything that I use that allows me to confirm all of this all over again in my own experience. So I'm really excited to chat with you guys about my personal practices, because these are things I literally do every day. So let's talk about the last thing for this point. So that's one way that you can basically rewire your old story and activate the hippocampus, which is involved in memory, learning, and emotion. So now that's rewriting our old story, right? And that's taking the lesson tied with a new emotion and applying it to our memory. But what about new experiences? How do we show up new in that? Well, as far as that, it is learning to use thought and emotion to influence your behavior, which will eventually overwrite the old program if you give this new information equal airtime with enough repetition to become a natural part of how you operate. So for example, let's say that back in the day when I would encounter someone that was really, really nasty to me, it would cause me to literally freak out, right? Maybe the old me, who knows, like, think about if someone really, really upset you, what naturally comes out? Like, you start to feel a really intense feeling. Maybe you notice all of these disturbing energies inside, like you're just angry. Maybe you notice your thoughts really acting up. And how we can change literally who we are on a neurological level is by becoming aware that we've encountered a situation like this before and taking a moment in that second of making a conscious decision to perform in a way that is in alignment with our ideal self, even if it's difficult. Because guess what? Any new experience is going to feel like a threat to the brain. Any new experience that you haven't experienced before is going to automatically feel like a threat to the brain. But if you can not only show up as you want to be in those new situations, but also diffuse the energy that's arising within you as far as the old feelings, thinkings, and behavior that you would have, you will all of a sudden notice that there's this little moment in between when something happens to us and our unconscious decision. There's this little moment where you actually have a window to make a conscious choice, and that will allow you to leave the situation, even if it was a really annoying situation. Maybe again that person was really nasty to you. It will allow you to leave that situation as it happens without storing it inside. And a lot of our pain and suffering comes from what we store inside, because again, our entire mind is the sum of all of our learned experiences. So if we want to rewrite this program, we need to learn to act outside of our learned experiences in a way in which we want to act. And again, this can really get a lot more clear when you look at that version of yourself and where you even want to get to. Because if we don't know how we want to feel on a daily basis, if we don't know who we are in that reality we are creating, it's going to be really hard for our brain to kind of help us problem solve to figure out how to get there. Again, a big part of this and manifesting, setting goals is stating what you actually want, getting clear specifically, because once you do and once you state that and once you decide, then you will notice your brain automatically goes to support you and look for evidence and look for ideas and opportunities in ways that it can help you get there quicker. So, rewriting your old story and learning to use thought, emotion, and new behavior in new experiences. So, let's dive into how the mind limits the possibility we see. So, first of all, of course, we know that your thoughts are not you, right? Your mind is sending you constant feedback on your experience depending on what's already wired in the mind. And when you have a thought that says you don't like something, for example, let's say someone is standing too close to you, or it's too noisy at the event that you're at, or maybe you're stuck in traffic, right? These things would normally annoy us, and we'd notice this feeling kind of bubble up inside and all these thoughts. Oh, this person's standing too close to me. Oh, why is it taking so long to get out of traffic? Everyone get out of the way. Like, we notice in these situations, we notice a disturbance inside, right? When you think about being in these experiences, or when you are in these experiences, notice how you feel. Okay, that's the first thing. The thought that you don't like something, if you give it airtime, sends a feeling to the body that determines how you process and experience the unfolding moment. So as you are experiencing something in the unfolding moment, you will have a reaction inside that is created from your past experiences and what information you currently have inside. Once you externalize that judgment or that preference, or you start giving those thoughts energy, oh yeah, I hate that this person is too close to me. Oh, have they ever heard of personal space? Oh my God, I don't, like, you will notice this energy come up, right? And it stems from deciding that you didn't like it. It's very interesting. But what if you played a game with your mind? What if you just decided to experiment and say that you actually liked it? I know, seems weird, but stick with me. What if you actually decided to say that you liked that person standing too close to you? What if you decided to say that you liked that it was noisy at that event, or that you liked that you were stuck in traffic? Our natural program is to point out what we don't like about what is happening, right? But just play a game. What if you said you actually liked these things? If you truly give this thought airtime, you will feel a change in your emotional body almost immediately. And you'd be more open to discovering why you liked what happened. So like I said, as soon as you state something out loud, your brain is looking for evidence to support that. Which I really want you guys to hear this, because you will be, like, if you really listen to this, you will be using this all day, every day. Your mind is constantly talking. And if you can start to interrupt the old pattern and start to challenge your own mind in this way, you are going to notice an incredible change really quickly too. Again, if you truly gave that thought airtime, you would feel a change in your emotional body, and you'd be more open to discovering why you liked what happened, also known as your brain is now looking for evidence to confirm this new thought. So maybe you discovered through doing this that you liked that someone was standing close to you because it helped you work on your patience. Perhaps deciding you liked it being noisy at the event you were at helped you actually experience the energy at the event with all these people around instead of resisting it. Or perhaps you decide that you are stuck in traffic because it gave you time to think about the things you're grateful for today. This is what I mean by pushing back with your mind. Just because it tells you something doesn't mean it's fact, doesn't mean it has anything to do with you, and it doesn't mean it's going to happen. Actually, there was a study that over 90% of our worries never happen. So what if you decided just in those moments to go against that negative bias and to see if that actually helped you discover new evidence? I'm telling you, I use this all the time. For example, I was cutting a pineapple the other day. I was cutting pineapple and I dropped a piece of pineapple on the ground. And I was like, no big deal, whatever, threw it away. I was cutting more pineapple. And I drop another one. And I noticed that kind of annoyance come in, but it was like a little more pineapple this time. It was like a good few pieces. And I noticed that thing. I was like, it's okay. I wanted that to happen. I literally said that out loud. I was like, that's okay. I wanted that to happen. And then guess what happened? It happened one more time, but this time it was when the dishwasher was open and the pineapple that slipped off the counter literally went into the cubby where the clean silverware was. And I was like, are you fucking serious? Like, I literally said that out loud because it felt like something was playing a game with me, because I was using that moment to grow myself. I was using that moment to practice letting go, right? And once I decided to say, you know what? I'm glad that happened too, because it helped me learn to laugh at myself and that it really wasn't that serious at all. And because I got the lesson from it, because I looked for a reason that I actually liked it and preferred it, I got a rush of energy from it. Instead of experiencing a negative reaction in my body, it actually allowed me to increase my energy flow. It actually allowed me to open my heart more because I released my preferences and judgments about the unfolding moment and how it was happening. I'm telling you, the mind causes basically all of our suffering in this way. And if you can just play with your mind and just decide that you actually like something when your brain tells you to not like it or to resist it, you will experience a whole other side, not only to yourself, but to life and how you can actually live. every single day. And again, this stuff is daily work because our minds are always talking, we're always experiencing the unfolding moment, and information is always coming in, right? And so this is like an active practice constantly all day. For example, maybe you wake up with anxiety. Who wakes up here with anxiety? It's actually very normal to wake up with anxiety, just letting you know, because we have more the chemical cortisol. We have more of that in the morning. And before, when I would feel this, I would get really just tied up on the feeling of how uncomfortable it was. And then in my mind, oh, I don't feel good. Oh my gosh, I don't feel good. Oh, is my belly hurting? Oh, do I need to throw up? Oh, should I call off work today? Oh my gosh, should I eat something? And there was so much in my mind just from this uncomfortable feeling. And again, when you feel an uncomfortable feeling inside, even if it's someone that says something nasty to you and you feel this disturbance inside, you're going to notice that you have a lot more energy all of a sudden pick up in your mind. And where your work is to diffuse it in your body, is literally to totally allow that feeling to take over, because resisting it only keeps it in. Right? And if you're feeling something anyway, it's because it was already stored there in the first place. So the only way to release the energy is to allow it up and out. But I noticed that I was getting so sick in the mornings, like not only anxious, but now sick because it's like, oh my God, my stomach hurts really bad. Oh my gosh, am I going to throw up? It's like, it caused me to go in like overdrive. But you know what's crazy? I started practicing this. I started breathing into that space and just allowing the feeling to come with me. And in like an hour, it releases on its own because I wasn't pushing it down inside. And we do that with uncomfortable situations, whether it's someone saying something to us or someone giving us a dirty look at the light. These things don't mean anything to us. You are witnessing something in the unfolding moment, but you chose to store it inside and give it a specific meaning that now you identify with that meaning. And that is why it will continue to come up over and over in your experience. See, this proves that maybe I am an idiot, because my ex said that I was an idiot, and I've been thinking about that since, and now every single day I just keep running into things that make me, it's like that bias, that belief is coming out because it was already there. The outside world is always going to activate something inside of us, but we can actually influence the effect that it has on us, right? And again, just because you experience something that's similar to a past experience you have, it has absolutely nothing to do with your past or who you are being. But if you choose to think, feel, and behave in the same way, it will literally mimic your past experiences. And this is why neuroplasticity is so important, because it allows us to take a moment in the present to choose how we want to act. I've been so pissed off over that pineapple. Are you kidding? The last thing I want to do is waste pineapple. You know how much tahini I was putting on that pineapple? It's absolutely delicious. But I wanted to work with life and not work against life. And like, our mind will make us feel like things are the biggest deal in the entire world. And this is how we end up feeling stuck. This is how we get in our way. This is how we self-sabotage, because we make these thoughts a lot bigger than they actually are, when in reality they are just conspiracies about the unfolding moment based on the current program that you have had up until this point. If you don't want to have the same experience that you've had up until this point, do not invest in those thoughts that come up when you run into these experiences, because those thoughts are literally created from your past experiences. Like, the voice in your head that you hear constantly is what has been created up until this point. But awareness is the first step, because once you are aware of a current program, or once you are aware of something coming up, I promise you it will lose its power, and you'll be able to make a conscious decision that will literally get easier and easier and easier every single day. Now, let's see. Okay. Okay, I was reading the little thing, and it looks like I stopped right before it was over, which is typically, that's just typical me. So I'm going to just finish this before I move on to the next thing. So thinking in this way is a choice, right? We have a choice in every single moment, but it is possible in any single moment. And it will change how you store the experience in your brain and body based on the information you give your brain about the experience. This is why you want to take every opportunity you can to allow experiences to open you. Because if you open to experiences instead of closing, your mind will feel more safe, it is more receptive to learning, and you will naturally activate neuroplasticity. Because if you run into a similar situation that used to make you just so angry or so upset, and you're now aware that it's a similar experience to your past, but you decide to show up even in a slightly different emotion, you are now creating new neural pathways that is teaching your brain how to act in that experience next time it comes in contact with it. This is literally the way to change your brain over time, so you literally merge with your ideal self. Okay, let's see. This is how we can manifest more exciting and fulfilling experiences from the experiences we are already having. This is what I mean by, like, it's not like literally changing anything on the outside, but it affects everything about the reality of how you experience the world on the outside. Again, two people could experience that situation with pineapple, and one could have that really fulfilling experience where it opened them, allowed them to learn to laugh at themselves, and showed them it really wasn't a big deal at all, and they were able to just release the experience after. But there will be the other person who spills the pineapple. Oh, this is exactly what my mother said. I can't concentrate. Why am I so distracted? What's wrong with me? It's like, it wasn't even that deep at all, but you've created even more stuff to put on top of your natural energy flow that now has to come out later. Because when we put new information in our body, when we put new energy inside, it's not going to disappear. We are covering up our natural energy flow. And the only reason your brain stores experiences from the past is because, number one, it thinks it needs to save that experience because there was such strong emotion tied to it that it needs to save it to prevent it from happening again. I totally forgot my where I was going with that after. But your brain is learning from you in how you show up in every single one of your experiences. So, hello Sam, hello Mike, how's it going? It's like your life story is a dictionary of different words. The words are the experiences, and the definitions are the feelings and thoughts attached to the experience. I love that, Tiffany. Yeah, that's totally exactly what it's like. This work that we're talking about is a combination of neuroscience, self-coaching tools, and yoga/Buddhism, which is allowing things to be as they are while removing judgment and preference, which solidifies the negative bias. And we looked at before, at the very beginning of our document, how neuroscience actually shows the positive effects on the brain when practicing practices like yoga and Buddhism. These are all connected. And I'm telling you, I have taken endless courses on neuroscience. I have read and taken endless courses and classes on yoga/Buddhism, and I've been in therapy and worked with coaches, and they are all saying the same exact shit. Literally just in different ways. That's what really allowed me to blow my own mind with this, is because exploring all of these different things, it starts to be reduced down to the same stuff. And it's so interesting to me. So one thing that I want to mention is someone commented not too long ago and was asking me to provide the scientific evidence that thoughts actually influence our outer experience. First of all, it just takes 2 seconds of research online to see that. I mean, come on, first of all. And especially if we want to expand our belief systems on what's true, we have to be taking the initiative to actually learn. I don't need to pull up tons of scientific evidence that our thoughts affect us. You can literally find that anywhere. But what I'd like to say to the people that are super hung up on ooh, this is woo-woo, this is science, this is proven, this is not, this, oh, you shouldn't journal like this because this and this. Isn't the point of this work to be happier? To be more fulfilled? To stop getting in our own way? So why are we creating even more steps that make it hard for our brain to believe that change is possible? This idea that you can't move forward until you have all of the pieces and you've tied all of the research together. You are self-sabotaging yourself by keeping yourself stuck. And when we procrastinate our own growth or procrastinate anything, the brain does that as a form of stress relief. So if you notice that you're procrastinating in any area of your life, it might be because there's something about that experience that is stressing your brain out, whether your to-do list is too big or whatever it may be. Look at where you're procrastinating or you don't feel motivated or passionate in your life, and how you can pivot that to either make the goals and steps smaller, and how you can have more of a positive emotional connection with the things that you are doing. Because the brain loves to feel good, right? The brain has three main jobs: to seek pleasure, to reduce pain, and to be efficient. If it thinks that you aren't getting pleasure from a specific experience, if it thinks that this new habit or whatever you're implementing is painful, or if it thinks that you're doing anything that's a waste of time, it's going to send you thoughts that help try to convince you to not do it. So those thoughts you believe are you, they're actually not you at all. They're coming to you the way they're coming to you because of the current program that is literally wired in your brain. Your mind is like a servant to the brain. Whatever your mind is telling you is a little sneak peek of what is actually wired in your program. So here's some of my most important practices that I do that kind of combine all these things. Like I said, my favorite realm to work in is combining neuroscience with self-coaching tools and then applying my spiritual practices to it. That way I'm kind of feeding all of my cups, and I found that that's like the perfect balance for me, where I am using tools, techniques, and tips that are backed by science that I know work, which will also remove the negative bias in your brain that what you're doing is not going to work. If you show your brain the actual evidence, it's going to be so much more receptive to actually experiencing that change. So that, combined with all of the tools that I've learned from therapy and life coaching for over, I've been working with a life coach for 5 years, and I've been doing mostly therapy stuff for 2 years. And a lot of the stuff I do with therapy is in the form of courses and stuff now, so I can also teach what I'm learning. So I'm learning from all these different pools that are kind of starting to say the same shit. Like, what is the connection here, right? And that's really what I'm passionate about. And so that's kind of what my personal practices are based around. And before I get into this, by the way, I want to see how you guys are doing and see kind of where chat's at, because I tend to get too excited and, talk a lot. What's up? What's up? How's it going? Okay. I heard someone say pretty recently that no events in life have inherent meaning. You get to assign meaning, thoughts, and emotions to all things. Exactly. Like, truly, the unfolding moment is the unfolding moment, and what's happening, there are several forces that cause it to be that way, right? But the meaning that we give things is what we identify with, and that's what literally influences how we think, how we feel, and how we behave. And we can't change the external things that are happening, but we can change the meaning that we give them, and I promise you, it's literally like magic. It will literally change your personal reality. Now, even if you don't think like the craziest woo magic is real, which I'm not on either side, I'm literally just a normal human discovering what feels true to me. But if you're so on like, sorry, my chat was glitching out. Nothing better than, oh my god, Tiffany. Exactly. Exactly. Okay, I'm sorry guys, I forgot what I was saying there. If anyone remembers the sentence I was on, please let me know. But I guess this is just a part of the journey together. I remember I was replying to something you were saying, Eric. I know it's about the meaning that we give things, but literally we identify so strongly with the meanings that we have, with the experiences that we have. Oh yes, and what I meant to say is, okay, you were talking about believing magic is real or not. Even if you don't believe the craziest woo-woo magic is real, I'm telling you, you will experience synchronicities that feel exactly like magic. I'm telling you, I don't know how it works, but when I start implementing these new beliefs and new feelings, or saying like everything is happening for me. Everything is happening for me, but it's my job to figure out how it's happening for me. You will start to actually find the lessons in those things immediately, and it will literally come to you just like magic. I'm telling you. And what I love about this is that there's so much science supporting how our internal environment in our mind and what we actually have wired in our brain controls literally how we see and experience reality on the outside. I believe in magic. Absolutely. And guess what? Your beliefs will be confirmed over and over again. So when people say, oh, you're too woo-woo or this too that, I'm not anything. My intention is not to be scientific and it's not to be spiritual. My intention on my channel is to be real and to show you the things that I personally practice and the things that have helped me or feel/are true. And one thing that I decided to start exploring was, okay, well, even if we think magic's not real, what happens in our brain when we do believe magic's real? And this is what I'm talking about when I say exploring the in-between states. Like, we have what's proven and we have what isn't explored, right? And what if magic became real when you believed it? And you knew that? Would you start to change how you talk to yourself? Probably, right? Probably. Now, there's some part in here. Let me see that I wanted to read to you guys. Okay, I posted this in the group yesterday. The best way to learn is to go against everything you know and intend to experience something in the world that you don't even think is possible. So that's really where the juice is, especially if you don't believe in magic, if you're strictly only science, then you should do this too. So the best way to learn is to go against everything you know and intend to experience something in the world that you don't even think is possible. For example, intend with all of your hippie woo-woo magic that you will experience a pink elephant today. Just affirm with all your little magic, all your woo-woo juju, that you will experience a pink elephant outside in the world today. Even if you don't believe it, just for the fuck of it, even if it sounds dumb and you don't believe that you can influence your reality like that at all, just go for it. And let's say that you ended up seeing that pink elephant on a billboard or as a little crystal in a shop. What happens when you find that pink elephant? What do you tell yourself? How does that affect you and what you believed before you found that pink elephant? That's what I mean by you don't know what you don't know. And you may have a set idea of how the world operates, but guess what? I bet you anything that is your mind. That is a thought that has really no basis in reality either. And if you can go against what you believe to be true, that is where we actually learn. We don't learn by staying in our comfortable little bias, our comfortable little zone where, everything feels familiar and we feel like we understand everything. You will never experience growth there. I urge you to find what in this you don't believe to be true. For example, if you don't believe that magic is real, let's start there because Tiffany believed that. How can you play around with that idea? How can you go against everything that you believe to be true to truly experiment with this? And again, this is what I did with the pink elephant. That's why I used the pink elephant as an example, because this was something that I started exploring like probably 5 years ago. I started using the pink elephant thing, and it was to intend and expect and believe that I would see a pink elephant somewhere in the world, somehow. I didn't know how, it wasn't my responsibility to figure out how, but now my brain is searching for a pink elephant. Once I decide I want to see something or I want to experience something, the brain is now unconsciously looking for that in your environment. After I came up with that pink elephant, it was just a random thing that I came up with. I tried to think of something that isn't really common and that I wouldn't really see just normally out in the world. And I'm telling you, I can't even count how many times I have seen a pink elephant since then. I have 3 pink elephants in the room currently with me that I have gotten from seeing them out in the world. This proved to me every time I see that pink elephant, it is proof that if I can hold it in consciousness, I can hold it in my hands. And what's so cool about this reality is regardless of whether you believe something to be true or not, you can create whatever belief and meaning you want to have, even if it isn't something that, let's say that you don't believe in magic, but you want to. What are some thoughts that you could start telling yourself that support that? Of course, you can't just jump to, I believe in magic, because your brain will reject it, right? Because you have such an ingrained belief that magic isn't real that you need to almost find a neutral place first before you can actually shift that thought. So let's say that you're currently at, I don't believe in magic, but you want to get to, magic happens all the time. The middle ground would be, I am open to experiencing if magic is real. Or I'm open to experiencing, like however you really want to word it in a way that feels true, you will feel it inside. That's why you don't want to go to such a drastic new thought, because you'll feel it in it doesn't feel true at all. You want to find a middle neutral ground that's in between where you are and the belief that you want to have, if that makes sense. So let me go back to personal practices. So here are my personal practices that help me rewire my mind and more ease in what I want to experience. So these are things that I do consistently. First of all, notice self-sabotage. So this is something I do all the time because, again, we are so programmed to believing that we're our mind, and when we start to invest energetically into our mind, our experience is controlled by the mind. When you feel fear, for example, it causes you to act irrationally, and it causes you to self-sabotage relationships, opportunities, just because you let a thought sit in your head for too long that eventually made its way to the body, feeling, and that affected your behavior. There's a process that we can measure to create this lasting change. So write out all the ways that you get in your own way. Write out all the ways that you can think of that you get in your own way. What thoughts, feelings, or actions stop you from moving forward? Where do you limit yourself when it comes to what you think is possible? This goes right back to you, Tiffany, to what you were saying. Where do we limit ourselves when it comes to what we think is possible? And I know I talked about this already, but yeah, I got this comment not too long ago that was saying that all manifestation, that all experiences that are synchronized with our thoughts, none of that is proven. All of it is anecdotal reports, and it is not shown that thoughts can influence our reality at all. That the only person it's limiting is that person that said that, because it is such an ingrained belief that now in their body they now believe, no matter what I believe, it can't create change. No matter what I believe, it can't help me. And I can't change what I believe, so I'm now a victim to my thoughts. That's the actual program that is going on when you believe that. And when you don't want to think about, oh, just what I believe to be true. You want to go a step above that. What do I want to believe? What if I told you you could experience magic all the fucking time if you actually allowed yourself to believe it? You know what you want to know something? I have had an issue with being too scientific, with being too logical in how I do things, that it totally limited my ability to experience the unexpected, to experience this like energy flow that can come from believing in something greater than myself. I was limiting myself because it's like, oh, well, in order to even talk about this on my channel, I have to provide all the science and the evidence and this and this and this and this. And I was creating all these steps for myself, which is, it's important for me to be able to provide you guys with how things work and why they work and how I use them and so on. But that totally limited my ability to experience synchronicity on a level that even I didn't expect. So this year, my goal has been to be more like up in the clouds. Of course, I'm still grounded in my practices. I love learning about neuroscience. I love learning about psychology and quantum physics. Those are probably like my favorite three branches of science. But my personal favorite realm to play in is like, okay, this is all of the backed science. This is everything that I practice over here. And this is the world that I explore, that I want to believe to be true. How can they feed each other? You know? And with doing this work and even listening to lectures from Temple of the Universe, I listened to probably close to 5 hours of lectures every single day from Temple of the Universe, which they talk about Buddhism, yoga, and it's very interesting. It's all the same. Like, what I learned in therapy is also what I learned in Buddhism/yoga. And those same tools I also learned in my life coaching. And so I'm like, oh my God, I think I'm like figuring out the important pieces that I can start to take away, and then how I can explore it in a new way. And that's my favorite thing ever, is to see, okay, what do we know and what do we don't know, and where's the middle ground, and how can I push the limits of what we believe to be possible. Okay, I'm sorry, I got distracted again. Okay, notice self-sabotage. This is my first personal practice. I guess it's kind of connected, right? I'm just gonna read over that one more time. Okay, write out all the ways that you get in your own way. What thoughts, feelings, or actions stop you from moving forward? Where do you limit yourself when it comes to what you think is possible? Once we become aware of this, we bring more awareness next time they come up, and it allows us to interrupt the unconscious pattern and allows us to then make a conscious decision. All right, so that's number one. Number two, the practices that really push me in the right direction is understanding the power of your personal story. So we talked a little bit about this, but unconsciously, how we view our story and the meaning we give it influences almost every single thing that we do today. Here's how to work with your story. Write your life story out as exactly as you see it now. How it has impacted you, the experiences that have hurt you, and who you are because of your experiences. So exactly how you see it now. All of your pain, all of the hurt, like exactly how you felt through these experiences in your story. I want you to write that out on a paper. This is going to allow your inner child and the part of you that experienced these things to be seen. We don't want to just cover up our old story with a new story, because again, our brain's going to reject it if it already has really strong emotional connections to the meaning from our previous story. So that's why we want to write out our current story so we can almost neutralize it. And neutralizing it is just bringing it down. It's owning how we feel, it's seeing how we feel, and that allows us to create change more easily. If we don't own how we already feel, we are not going to be able to change how we feel, you know? So allow yourself to write out your story is exactly how it has affected you now. This allows you to own how your journey has impacted you and neutralize your emotions with it. Then, on a new piece of paper, maybe just like the one next to it so you can keep it all together, rewrite your story from how you want to view it, okay? What lessons or gains did you experience that led you to discovering more about yourself? How did your journey cultivate the amazing person that you are? Notice how that changes how your story feels in your body. It's the same story, right? But you gave it new meaning. And because you gave it new meaning, you now have a new emotional response to your story. And so now that is literally going to affect how you show up every single day, because that story is tied to your identity. And if you have found the ways that your story has actually improved who you are, you found that the lessons or the gains or the wins in your experience, I'm telling you, you are literally changing your brain, and it will literally change everything about how you show up. So notice, first of all, once you change that story, notice the difference in feeling. You're going to notice a difference in feeling in your body immediately, as well as the thoughts and the meaning that you give it. And again, this will affect your experiences moving forward too. So don't underestimate your story. I'm telling you, and really look at all the pieces that you give it, the meanings that you've given, the experiences that you've had, the meanings that you give people from your past or in your relationships. Really, really look at your identity. And when someone has done something to you in the past, really ask yourself, what have I made this mean about me? Because that situation doesn't mean that about you. We just gave it that meaning, but we can always assign new meaning. So, again, this is very important for the brain because, again, the hippocampus, it records our memories and it is tied to our emotion and learning. So this is literally a scientific way to rewrite your story and change the program of how you're showing up. Okay, let me see. So the next one is learning to release stored feelings and process new ones. Now, this is a lot of what I learn in yoga from the Temple of the Universe talks. Again, I start my day with it and I'm listening like all day. I've actually listened to so many talks. I've probably listened to over like 400 at this time that I now have to go directly to the website and listen to the lectures and talks that are like being released this week because I'm so caught up on them. And this is really what's helped me learn about the mind and the body and its relation to our physical experience. So the only way for stored feelings to be released is by letting them up and out. They're there because they were already there before you noticed them. Your body's job is to purify. Your heart is always trying to purify. And you will notice this because emotions will continue to come up and up and up over and over again. And depending on if you allow them to come out or if you resist them and push them down or try to control how they come up, that's going to affect if you can actually release that stored energy or if that continues to come up again as a part of your program. Notice how you resist emotion when it comes up in your body. So this is, again, we're talking about my current practices of things that I do consistently. And anytime I notice a specific feeling, it doesn't matter what feeling it is, I notice the feeling in my body. And if it is an uncomfortable feeling, notice how you resist it when it comes up. You want to distract, you want to just start talking to someone, maybe you start scrolling on your phone, maybe it's really hard for you to not be using any technology, especially when you're feeling anxious because you like don't want to sit with yourself. It's really uncomfortable. Anxiety can feel really scary. It can also like cloud how you're thinking and how you see the world. Trust me, I totally, a trillion% understand to the fullest extent with anxiety. But it didn't start changing until I like gave it space to just be there. And I'm telling you, there's days where I would be like trying to control my anxiety for like 12, 13, 14 hours. And once I started just like allowing it to be there and neutralizing that emotion and relaxing into it, like literally breathing into it, it leaves when it's ready. And it takes the thoughts and the intense like mind chatter with it. It's super cool, and I never realized we could do that before just by like letting it out. I was scared that if I let the emotion in, I wasn't going to have control or I wouldn't be safe to feel that emotion. That's why we're scared to feel, because we don't feel safe to experience the emotions that want to come up. So what you need to do is prioritize safety so that when they come up, it feels safe enough for them to come up and release. So when you notice anxiety or an uncomfortable feeling, nourish the body. Create safety in the body. That's going to send a new signal to your brain that says, hey, I'm safe. And it actually allows those emotions to come up and release. And again, Temple of the Universe, they do talks consistently. If you're wanting to learn more about the process of like discovering our natural energy flow, that's a great place to start. But basically, all of us have that beautiful, delicious energy of ecstasy. In yoga, they call it Shakti. And we never need to go find that the most beautiful feeling of love and excitement and bliss and ecstasy that we feel when we are spiritually in tune, like even the great enlightened ones, you know, this Shakti, we're familiar with this. We all have this, but we cover it up with our own stuff. The stuff that we don't want to feel, that's actually blocking our Shakti. And if we learn to allow it to come up and release, we'll experience these flows, like literally, it feels like a wave of just this pure, bliss and energy. Like, you feel like you're just on this insane natural life high. Like, I'm not even kidding. And that comes when you surrender to the unfolding moment and the emotions that naturally want to be released. Your heart desires to purify. And the only way for these energies or these emotions to release after they've already been stored is to allow them to come out. So that's something I'm doing constantly. Again, and even if like I run into a situation where it's not even a big deal, but something annoyed me or someone annoyed me, I'm always doing this. I will notice what's going on in the mind. As soon as I start feeling, I'll interrupt the process, because again, when you feel an uncomfortable feeling, you'll notice that mind, oh, I can't believe he said that, this. Interrupt that pattern, because you don't need to think all those thoughts in order to feel the feelings from that situation. If we can learn to feel the feeling in the moment, we leave that experience in the experience. We don't store it inside and think about it and obsess about it for months and days and years and who knows how long. If you practice opening your heart to whatever is unfolding in the present moment, even if it's a perceived negative experience or that creates a negative feeling, you're going to notice that those energies can kind of dissipate on their own. But also don't forget that if your mind is like, oh, I hate this, oh, I don't want to do this, blah, 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 interrupt that pattern. Oh my gosh, I'm spinning on a planet in the middle of nowhere and I'm in a line of traffic right now. That's actually so interesting that this is what I am doing in this very moment on the spinning planet right now. Oh, this is kind of fun, you know? This is my first lifetime driving a car. You know, you can have fun with it and literally act like it's your first day as a human on Earth and see everything as new and see everything as exciting, because that's really what's happening. We forget what's actually happening. And that's an affirmation that Michael Singer talks about when he gives talks at the Temple of the Universe. Is anytime you notice your brain obsessing about things that really aren't that serious or getting upset, like, bring it back down. I'm on a spinning planet in the middle of nowhere. And it immediately brings to this moment and makes whatever is happening seem so much more small, that now you can have fun with it. Now you can work with that experience. Now you can allow that experience to feed you, especially not only if you have fun with the experience, but you find a way that the experience is happening for you or creating a gain or a win or a lesson in your life in some way. Again, your brain only knows the information that you feed it. And so it's our job to feed it new information. And I have tons of awesome stuff on my wall that I want to read to you guys. I have this one about anxiety, and it says, anxiety is just an alarm looking for reassurance. So when you feel anxiety, it doesn't even mean that anything's gone wrong. Your brain is just looking for reassurance that everything's okay. So what if the moment you feel anxiety, you just needed to neutralize it by owning how you feel, like becoming aware of how you feel, and allowing yourself to experience it without judgment or preference. And also letting yourself know, like, we are safe right now. I've actually, like, talk to yourself out loud. For example, when I would wake up with anxiety, I would put my hands on my belly. Hello, anxiety. I see that you are here again. And even though it feels really, really uncomfortable right now, I love you enough to give you the space to resolve on your own. And I'll be here while you do that. We're going to go about our day and you can take all the time that you need. Like, nurturing and mothering the part of yourself that needs assurance, I promise you, actually neutralizes the feeling in your body. It's kind of like tapping, if you guys have heard of that. The reason why tapping works is because you start off by stating how you feel. So I feel anxiety in my belly, I feel tense, I feel really stressed out after I had this situation, and it is allowing you to own fully how you feel, and that automatically dissolves and neutralizes the really intense feelings. And once you own and see how you feel, and your brain feels seen, then you can go into listing why everything's actually great, why everything is actually how you want it, why you're actually excited for your day. And when it comes to the body, fear is the exact same chemical response to your brain as excitement. And your brain actually doesn't know if you're scared or anxious or excited. It doesn't know the difference. The only way for it to tell the difference is based on the feedback that it gets from you. So in the moment, if you feel anxiety, like sometimes I still feel anxious about like hosting classes and stuff, even though I've done it for like 5-6 years, obviously sometimes I still get nervous. And so what I do is in the moment, I tell myself that I'm excited and I give myself one reason why. So what I did was I literally changed the emotional response in my body by showing my brain evidence of why it's actually working out for us. So your brain is always looking for evidence to determine, to confirm the information you give it, right? So if I tell my brain automatically that I'm excited, it's automatically going to start looking for evidence. All right, what else can I show you guys on here? So I do want to give you, I have a read daily type list thing for all the new thoughts that I'm implementing, and I start my day off that way. And anytime any negative thought patterns come in or anything, I interrupt it and I give these new thoughts equal or more airtime with the feeling that I desire to feel. So I'm going to read them off to you. Every single day, I find more proof that everything is working out for me. I am changing lives with the amazing work that I do. I am doing more than enough to take my business to the next level. I'm doing the best that I can, and it's actually very successful for me. Every day, I make more of an impact in other people's lives through my value. What is meant for me will always find me at the perfect time, and it feels easy. I am very lovable, and I always experience evidence of that. I am confident in my knowledge and skills, and it shines through in my work. I love and trust myself deeply, and I always listen to my body. I am so grateful for all the abundance I experience in life in all areas. It always finds its way to me. Everything is happening for me, and I always experience magic when I trust. I am safe to play, take it slow, and enjoy life. That's my little list that I say every single day, and it feels really, really good to me. It helps me feel excited, and our brain naturally thinks like, oh, these things are happening to us. Oh, this experience is gonna, cause us to whatever. It comes up with all these worries, and again, over 90% of our worries never happen. So what if you automatically just start interrupting them with powerful thoughts that feel good? Now, when it comes to affirmations, whatever word you want to say, you want it to be beliefs that you actually want to have, and you want them to activate you emotionally. Like, you don't want to choose thoughts that you don't feel anything from, because it's not going to do anything. Your brain uses things that spark emotion to determine what's important. Even if it's a emotion of fear. If you notice that a certain thought comes up and you're like, no, I don't want to think that. Your brain's like, oh my God, this thought it seems to be so important, so I'm going to send it to you all day. I'm going to have you dream of it. Your brain thinks that it's important to you because of the really strong emotional response that you have to it. So we can learn to change this process and interrupt it. And I had to sit for a while and figure out what thoughts even felt good/true to me that addressed the specific areas of life where I was trying to rewire a belief. And this feels super, super good. And again, I have tons of stuff on the wall. The other one is the universe is conspiring to bring me everything I desire. I fully trust that all my dreams are coming true. And even if it seems silly, I read these things off and then weird fucking things happen all throughout the day. And every time something happens that I could use as evidence for my brain, I say, see, brain, everything is happening for us. Look at this situation. It was kind of disguised as this problem, but look at what we actually got from it. We're better off that we had this experience. And that allows your brain to literally rewire itself around that specific experience. Every single experience we have in life is an opportunity to open us up more. It is an opportunity to break down your negative bias even more. Every single opportunity in life is an opportunity to show your brain evidence of what you want to create more of. Okay, now let's go to the next one. Let's see, I just want to make sure. Okay, so we left off on storing and releasing emotions. Since I kind of read the last one before I moved on, I'll just give you guys one quick refresh of this. So the only way for stored emotions to be released is by letting them up and out. They're there because they were already there before you noticed them, and your body's job is to purify. Notice how you resist emotion when it comes up in your body. Make a conscious decision to notice without resistance, judgment, or preference. Allow yourself to feel into the specific part of your body with this emotion, where this emotion is held. Relax into it as much as possible and see if you can feel this emotion so fully that you learn something new about it. This is how you feel your feelings. This is how you feel your feelings. Listen to that. Notice how you resist emotion when it comes up in your body. Literally, next time you feel anger or anxiousness, whatever it is, notice what happens. Just step back into witness consciousness, notice what happens in your physical body, and notice what happens in your mind. Just notice. Because that's who you actually are. You are the one that is witnessing. What's going on in your mind is not you. So make a conscious decision to notice without resistance, without judging what's coming up, or without preferring how you want it to come up. And allow yourself to feel into the specific part of your body where this emotion is held. For me, it's my belly. I feel everything in my belly, whether I'm excited, whether I'm nervous, whether I'm anxious, whatever. And relax into it as much as possible and see if you can feel this emotion so fully that you learn something new about it. Now, watch it naturally dissipate when you do this. Work with it each time it comes up by relaxing and releasing into it. Now, this is Michael Singer's technique from the Temple of the Universe. Again, he's the one where I listen to like 5-6 hours of lectures a day. And his technique that he always talks about, my hair looks horrible right now, is relax and release. When you feel a disturbance inside, relax into it. And you will notice it takes care of itself. My mind was so blown when I started doing this that now every time a disturbance comes up, it's like a game for me. Speaking of game, my next little thing that I do all the time is called play the what if game. This is my favorite shit ever, dude. I'm doing this all day. All day. Do this as you fall asleep or in your journal. We are so used to thinking about the worst case scenario, right? But to begin to soften that negative bias and to show your brain a new perspective that is always there in any situation, ask it to look for the best case scenario in the most important parts of your life. So again, we usually ask, oh, what's the worst that can happen? What's the best that can happen? And you're going to notice that you actually have to think about it. And that is rewiring your brain just doing that. You're expanding your mind off what you already think is possible. When you start playing the what if game in this new realm of what is the best possible case scenario, all of a sudden now you've shifted your brain to looking at all of the evidence of how things could work out and how good it can get and how good it can feel. And we talk about this a lot. Mental rehearsal is the same to your brain as actually having the physical experience. So when you think about the best case scenario that you can have, you are literally training your brain and your body to know what that feels like. And it's going to feel a lot more natural. And when you think about these big goals, you've already kind of sent that information to your brain. It's already looking for evidence of how it can accomplish that. So sick. I love this stuff so much. Okay, so best case scenario. What is the best case scenario in your friendships? Like, think about one thing at a time. In your friendships, what is the absolute best case scenario for you? Your relationships. Work. Like, if you thought, like, literally the best case scenario. How big can you dream? How big can you go? And this is a big exercise for mine, because it's gonna feel probably maybe a little bit difficult to think about the best possible case scenario for you, because again, you'll notice that you're still gonna put limits on it. And this shows you what's already in your brain, what beliefs you already have. Once you start thinking about this new realm of possibility you could play in, your limitations come up for you. It's so amazing. Like, once you set a goal or desire or think about the things that you want to experience, your brain's like, oh, well, I can't do that because of this. And it's like, thank you. I don't even have to go looking for that now. My brain literally brought me my limitations, so now I literally have them on paper of what's stopping me, what's standing in my way. Now I literally have a plan to action of what I need to work with. It's amazing. The brain's actually always helping us, but we just perceive it as going against us. But we have all the answers, and you know you have the answers. Because when you ask yourself, they actually come to you. What is the best case scenario in your work, physical health, spiritual growth, finances, self-care, etc.? I want you to daydream the fuck out of this. Like, literally, I do this as I fall asleep every single night. Every single night. The last thing I'm thinking about is how good it can get for me. Like, literally. And I also do this in my journal. And again, you can do either one, you can do both. But journaling is amazing because it also, you can review all of this later. Like, for example, journaling allows me to actually see the thoughts that create like such a powerful feeling in my body, and if I can implement that as often as possible, this new feeling is going to overwrite the old program because I'm giving these new thoughts more airtime than the old thoughts. And anytime I'm like doing the dishes or something and I notice that negative bias come up, you just interrupt it. That's all. You just interrupt it anytime you notice it, and it will get easier and easier. I'm fucking so excited, guys. I literally had to calm down when writing this document because like I could spend a billion hours talking about this, but I had to like consolidate it a lot because I just love this shit so much. So when you think about the best case scenario in all these different areas, this helps your brain see that there are actually endless possibilities to any situation. Our brain is so fixated on like the worst possible thing that could happen, right? And we create so much suffering over one possible scenario out of technically trillions, right? And again, over 90% of our worries never happen. So next time you have worries, think about that. And remember that your mind is not you and it's literally conspiracies. Oh, give your mind a name. I gave mine a name. That way when that voice comes up, you can identify it as something separate from you. Like, I named mine Barbara. And so whenever that negative bias comes up, whenever that negative bias is like, oh, you don't have what it takes, blah, blah, blah. Thanks, Barbara. Thanks for your input anyways, and you can start to create this separation between, like, this is a thought that is coming in, and this is who I am. It starts to kind of create that separation. So, thinking about the best possible scenario shows your brain, like, how many possibilities are actually possible in any situation. And it opens your mind to exploring the what-if things that actually feel good instead of generate fear. We can do that. I don't think anyone told us that we can actually play the what if game in a whole new way. Oh my god, what if he doesn't text me back? Oh my god, what if I don't get this job? Oh my god, what if this happens? Or oh my god, I just wanted to like go drive to the park. What if my car like flies off a cliff? Is this helpful? Is this helpful? And when you notice all those what ifs come up, that's when I go back to this. Like, everything is actually working out in my favor. It's just my job to find out how. And so this helps give you the power back to now looking that, oh, everything is actually, like, I'm so excited because since everything's happening for me and I'm getting so many new lessons and ideas with each experience I have, oh, I'm just so excited to see what the universe is going to bring me next. I can't wait to see what happens. Like, you can train yourself to think like that. But again, you got to know how to think like that first before you can believe like that. You got to show your brain that you can think those thoughts. You can write those thoughts. You can imagine the positive what ifs. You need to do the work on the inside first before it can be externalized. You have to show your brain what's possible. Again, it's like a coin, right? There's two sides of every single coin. And more often than not, we are living our life off that negative bias. And so where your work comes in, where your challenge comes in, is seeing how you can flip that script, like an experience that you felt didn't serve you at all, just made you angry, wasn't helpful for you at all. The game in that is to discover the actual lesson in it. And guess what? That is what allows you to integrate and process the experience and not store it inside. when it's either a positive experience or you find the lesson or the gain in that experience, you can leave that experience where it happened. And you don't put more shit inside that cover up your natural energy flow. And again, if you just start getting used to feeling things as they come up, just relaxing and releasing into it, you'll notice that you start to also feel feelings of pure gratitude come up out of nowhere. Like, oh my God, all of a sudden I feel like so moved. Like just like we experience anxiety attacks, they're like so programmed in our body. We can experience this with the most beautiful emotions possible. With bliss, with gratitude, with love. You could just have laughing attacks because you've opened your heart in areas where you didn't think you could. Now, there's one phrase that we don't realize is completely causing us complete chaos inside. And that phrase is, I can't handle this. Think about what happens when we say, I can't handle this. Your brain literally thinks you're about to die. Literally. It doesn't think that you're joking. It literally thinks that you can't handle this. So what happens when the brain thinks that it can't handle something? It thinks its entire existence is at a threat. It literally thinks that it might die in the situation that you're in. And I want you to notice the different vibration between I can't handle this and I can handle this. For example, there was a super stressful situation not too long ago, and thinking about how I was going to handle the situation, and I was telling myself similar stuff like, oh my God, I don't think I can handle this, blah, blah, blah. That caused so much anxiety. That caused me to feel discouraged. That caused me to feel doubt. That caused me to not feel confident. That caused me to feel anxious. And just by stepping in the moment and saying, you know what, I can handle this. Oh my God. All of a sudden, I actually felt like I could. It was weird. All I did was say a thought. All I did was say, oh, I can handle this. And all of a sudden, my body changed what it was feeling. And all of a sudden, now I thought of several reasons why I could handle it. Isn't that interesting? Those reasons were always there. But because I didn't feed that thought to my brain, it didn't give me the solutions or the ideas to support that. That is what I mean. Is by as soon as you decide what you want to think and believe, as soon as you just make the decision, your brain is already looking for that evidence that that thing is true. I'm telling you that. And you can use this to your advantage. Again, when you're feeling anxious or scared, maybe you have a test, or maybe you're going to be public speaking for the first time or whatever. When you say that you can't handle something, you're making that true. It's going to feel so fucking hard compared to if you just told yourself, of course I can handle this. Duh, of course I can. And you can handle something and still be nervous. Just own how you feel, right? Don't deny how you feel. But you can also play with fear and see that excitement feels the exact way in your body if you just change the thought that's connected to the emotion. I'm telling you. Now, this is something that I learned in my life coaching. It's a self-coaching model that helped me connect all of these pieces together. We've talked about this a million times, but it is so important for you to realize how it's connected in this way. We have a circumstance, right? So it starts off as circumstance. The circumstance outside creates a thought inside. And that thought creates a feeling. Every single feeling has a thought attached to it, by the way. So if you randomly get a feeling that comes up in your body, look for the thought that's attached to it. And again, if you change that thought, you will change the feeling in your body. There's a whole process of how to do this model. And so let me know if you guys have questions. I know I have a couple videos of this, but it's so important. So the circumstance on the outside creates a thought inside, right? Which is just feedback from the experience that we're experiencing. That thought sends an emotion to the body. So whatever thought we create, it gets sent to the brain and it determines what the body should do. So now that thought is creating that feeling inside. How we feel determines what we do. And you know that. You know that if you have a day where you just started to feel anxious or you just started to feel, you'll cancel your plans. Maybe you do the opposite and you feel all this anxiety and fear, and so you overcompensate in areas where you're like self-sabotaging. How you feel is going to determine your behavior. Always. Always. And even if you are practicing on implementing another thought, if you feel a different way, that feeling will always win. For example, smoking. Let's say that you have that thought that you should quit smoking, right? Or even that you want to quit smoking. But the feeling in your body is so wired in and it is so strong that it's more powerful than that new thought. I promise you, you will act on what you are feeling. Because feelings are true. Regardless if the thought that's connected to that feeling is true, feelings are true to the body and the brain, and whatever you are feeling is going to determine your behavior. So, since we can see this connection, and obviously our behavior, our actions control our results, we can see how the thoughts we have about the circumstances we are in give us our results. Interesting. And if you don't know, and you can also work your way back on this too, like let's say that you are taking an action that you aren't happy with. Maybe you're procrastinating in a certain area or whatever. You're like, oh my God, I don't know why I'm doing this thing. You can look back and look at the feeling that's actually driving that action, or looking for the thought will actually reveal the rest. Like it's literally a self-coaching model where you write out literally CTFAR, circumstance, thought, feeling, action, result, and you fill it in based on what's happening, and it will literally show you why you're operating the way you're operating. And I promise you, it starts from the thoughts that we're thinking about the experience and the emotions in our body that are created from those thoughts. So when we play the what if game, it feels expansive as fuck, dude. Are you kidding me? I love doing this because it shows me that there's an infinite world of possibilities, and there's so many ways where we could experience fulfillment outside of what we even believe is possible. Trust me, you do not want the life that you think that you want if the universe could provide you with even better than that. You'd want that, right? Screw what I want. I want, whatever the universe can provide. Then start thinking that big. Start there. And then you will open yourself up to everything in between. If you play too small, you're not giving your brain enough evidence that it can actually be the way that you want. You really want to play big to show your brain, oh, look, that's one possibility out of a trillion, right? But what if it all actually works out perfectly? What if it actually works out better than I expect? And again, the feedback that you give your brain is going to change the feelings you feel in the body, and that is going to change how you naturally behave. So when we think of the best case scenario, this helps our brain think of endless possibilities. It opens our mind to exploring the what if things that actually feel good instead of the things that generate fear. And this helps not only slow down our nervous system, especially when we feel anxiety, but helps more positive feelings experience airtime in the body, which will affect the thoughts that come up and the behaviors you have. One interesting fact that I put on here, I learned this from the neuroscientist Tara Swart that I was watching today. She said gratitude is the exact opposite of fear to the brain. When you're in a state of love, gratitude, and excitement, you release oxytocin, which brings you back to safety and allows you to experience new experiences more confidently, as well as taking healthy risks. So literally, if you ever are experiencing fear or anxiety, you can dissolve that by playing what if. Well, what if actually everything's working out for me? I just don't see the evidence right in front of me. Like, what if I don't have to worry about that? What if I don't have to worry about the process and I can just trust? Or shifting to gratitude. And that is an immediate way to calm down your nervous system and create a different emotional state in the body. Again, when we notice thoughts that are maybe not the thoughts that we want to have, or maybe you don't want any thoughts at all. Maybe the thoughts are positive, but you just don't want this mind chatter going on constantly. You can interrupt whatever pattern is going on and bring yourself into the present. Again, if you have a hard time not thinking about anything, you can even just focus on the breath. But if it's just a negative, that negative bias, and you want to interrupt that, you just notice, interrupt, and you just start thinking the thoughts that you want to be beliefs. Again, the thing that creates a belief is thought tied with feeling and repetition. That's it. So this wall, if I repeat these thoughts every single day, tied with a really strong feeling, that is creating a neural connection in my brain that is going to allow me to not only feel that these are true, but believe and seek evidence in my experience that these are true. Okay, so when it comes to the people who are stuck on this idea, because I've ran into this a few times, that spirituality cannot be scientific or that certain practices are woo-woo or whatever, what I have to say to that is who literally gives a shit at all? Like, who literally gives a shit about these details that are actually forms of self-sabotage? Like when a new idea or a new action, or you discover something new, and that old bias comes in, oh, this can't be real because this and that. You're using, again, your old information to determine how to treat this new experience. And how I personally like to grow, which I think is the funnest way ever, is I like to try to prove myself wrong. What's funner than that? What's funner than trying to challenge your own belief systems? Like, what's going to help you grow more than that, you know? We will never learn if we are not open to things that go against what we believe to be true without even looking into the evidence or trying it ourselves. The best way to learn, and we talked about this earlier, is to go against everything you know and intend to experience something in the world that you don't even think is possible, just for fun. Again, like the pink elephant, if you don't even believe that your intentions, your beliefs, your thoughts can manifest something in the outer experience, but you just decided to try it for fun, just to test it out for the name of science, because if you're so stuck on science, right, and you don't believe that these practices are backed by any evidence, then you should be the first one to use these experiences for your scientific research, right? Like, this should be the first thing you're doing, is testing these things out yourself and going against that bias or those beliefs that you have for the sake of expanding your mind on what's possible. Like, what happens when you actually experience proof that goes against what you believed? What do you tell yourself in those moments that we don't know as much as we think we do, right? We only know what we have experienced and what we have been told and what we have felt up until this point. That is what's real to us. But this in-between state of like trying to prove myself wrong in my practices or really challenging myself in different ways, like that is my passion. That work right there, like by pushing against my own doubts, by messing around just for the fun of experimentation and playing around and challenging my own mind, that's what allows me to grow. Because I didn't fucking believe this shit. I didn't believe any of this at one point in my life. But I'm telling you, there's no book, there's no documentary, there's no specific thing that changed my mind. It was from me looking at everything that I know to be true and challenging it and learning and expanding my mind and trying to find anything that either confirms what I believe or goes against it so I have more evidence to explore. That is part of our practice. That's how we're supposed to learn. Now, doing all of this is truly where we realize that our limitations are only perceptions that we have cultivated over time. And because our perceptions can be broken, so can your limits. Truly. Our limitations are only perceptions. And again, if whatever you tell yourself becomes true, then think about what you actually want to be true. In an ideal, beautiful, perfect world, what do you actually want to be true? And start there and see what's possible from that starting point. Now, I promised you guys resources, so I have a few different ones. As far as neuroscientists, if you're wanting to discover the deeper connection between neuroscience and creating the life of our dreams, there's two neuroscientists that I recommend checking out, Dr. Tara Swart and James Doty. They both talk about everything that we've talked about here. As far as resources, if you want to learn about the bias, the brain's bias, there's this really cool online experience. It's like this online exhibition thing, and I'll post it here. Oh, perfect. The link works. So there is where you can learn about the bias. It's called the Bias Inside Us online exhibition. There is this news article by Psychology Today called Science-Backed Ways to Manifest. And I have an article to a neurosurgeon talking about the science of manifestation. And I will also link that too. Oh, looks like that link is too long. Don't worry, guys. I got this. I just need to go and create a new link. 1 second. Hopefully, all right. I do like what if questions. I feel like they help me get back on track because they're true. Your brain's providing you with what ifs all the time just because it's trying to figure shit out. You can also provide it with what ifs. You can talk to your brain out loud and it will talk to you. Okay. Got it. Neuroscience or neurosurgeon on the science of manifestation. Okay. Science of manifestation. Sorry, guys. Just creating a link here. All right. I wanted you guys to be able to have all the resources. There you go. Okay. And there we go, guys. Hell yeah. This, I'm telling you, I could have wrote on this forever. Oh, and okay, I posted the Psychology Today link. I just wanted to make sure I posted everything on there. But there are so many more ways outside of just this that we can use the power of our brain to create the life that we desire. And again, I think it's a perfect combination between all these things. I think it's science. I think it's using our self-coaching tools, our personal development tools, but then also practices like yoga, where you can stop giving meaning to external experiences, to stop putting our judgments and preferences on experiences because we don't realize that that's affecting the feedback that our mind gives us, that's actually making it even harder to change. I just want you guys to know that you are so much more powerful than you have been told, and that you have all of the keys to create your most beautiful magic life in the now. And again, you have this beautiful computer that allows you to create whatever identity that you want to experience. And as big as you can imagine and dream, that's what you can create in this physical reality. And I love that there's this, that the gap is being bridged between science and creating the life of our dreams, that we can actually use the most powerful computer known to man that we all have. We can use that to design our most magical lives. And I hope that you guys got something from this. If you have any questions or anything, let me know. And yeah, I can talk about this forever. And again, in future videos and stuff like that, if you guys want to learn any more techniques or tools, or maybe break down some of the things that we talked about in here, let me know, and I would be more than happy to talk about this more in a new way. But asking what's the worst that can happen is so fun. Yeah, John, especially when it creates existential dread. Especially in hobbies when you know you're doing something you shouldn't. Mm-hmm. Being up in the clouds is the best. They're so fluffy like sweaters. Tiffany, you already know. Yeah, that's been my personal journey this year, especially, is how can I be more unhinged and woo in my practices? Because I'm not. I'm into a ton of I'm into everything. I'm just pulled wherever I'm pulled. I like have a really hard time putting like labels on specific things, but I'm into everything. And I think that I want to learn to even go beyond the belief systems I have now, because we always are limiting ourselves in some ways. And I think that's the beautiful part of this journey, is discovering what that is, you know? And once I got to Washington, like Washington was the biggest goal that I set for myself. Like I didn't really think of anything past Washington. And since I got here, I was in this place where it was like almost the in-between state between the old life I had, but then I wasn't like fully integrated into this one yet. And so I didn't really have set goals. I didn't have any specific things that were like my big motivators. And so I've been creating that lately. I've been tapping into that lately. And when I moved here, it took me a sec to adjust. I was getting super bad anxiety, and I think it was just like such a physical change. And plus, like, even a few years ago, I had no idea how to work with my mind. I had no idea what to do with my thoughts or my feelings. Like, I'm telling you, I have a lifetime of like chronic panic attacks and really intense overthinking and anxiety. And I never thought I was going to be on the other side of it ever. And if I can do it, you fucking can do it. You could do anything. You can do anything, girl. Oh my God. I'm telling you, you can. And I just, I felt like this experience is about freeing ourselves, you know, and unblocking that energy flow that wants to flow out. And I never really felt that before until I started doing this work, and I would wake up with intense panic and dread, like for no reason. It was just like wired in my body. And at first it was like, oh my God, I didn't know how to get rid of it. So the only thing I could do is resist it. But if you have anxiety, you know how intense and horrible it could feel. It literally affects everything. It affects your physical body. Like I would go into like a full flare up in my body. Like my digestive system would be everywhere. Like I'd be like super hot and sweating. My belly would just be in knots. And like you have this view, this perception of the world. Anxiety makes everything seem so dark and horrible. Like it gives you this like just this, it's like wearing doom glasses, you know? You like put these glasses on and it just changes how you see everything. And the more that I worked with that, and the more that I learned on understanding what that was and how to stop adding to it, I started like noticing intense emotions that were connected to my past just like come up naturally, but then release on their own when I didn't touch them. And I was like, holy shit, what was that? And the more I was just open to feeling whatever wanted to come up, it's almost like my brain felt safe enough to finally bring all that shit up. Because again, the reason why we store trauma is because we don't feel safe in the moment to express it. And so it's stored in the body for a safer time when we have time to express it, you know, and we can create that safety so that stuff feels safe enough to come up. But after, I just started like relaxing into the shit that was coming up, even if it felt confusing. Of course it feels confusing. These are like bookmarks from our past experiences stored inside, and you're flipping back to a random page and you're like, how the fuck did I get here? Like, why am I visiting this situation again? And again, it's only happening because it was stored in the body and it's trying to release and like purify itself. And I just started removing judgment and preferences and just letting myself feel however I felt. And I had no idea that that was a huge key in like relieving how I was feeling. And then once I just started, you know, getting better at allowing all these feelings to come up, I would start to feel these really weird feelings come up in like a good way. It was like, oh my God. I felt this wave of energy. Like I just got like a huge wave of inspiration. What was that? I'd go on a walk and all of a sudden I'd be so overtaken with gratitude. Like I'd have to just put my hand on my heart and I'd almost just start crying. And I do cry. I cry all the time. I'm a very emotional person, but it's because I feel everything so deeply, even the most beautiful feelings. Like even seeing an art piece that inspires me, I'll cry. But like I just started noticing like I was now a vessel for these energies to work through. And I wasn't a bottle to keep them stored inside. It's almost like I wasn't experiencing the universe, but the universe was being experienced through me. And I can't tell you how important understanding how I was blocking my own peace, my own energy. I can't tell you how big of a change it's made. Even I don't, when I'm struggling or when I'm going through something heavy, or whether I have shit coming up like worthiness or this or that, I don't talk about it on my channel. I'm trying to get better at this, but I put myself in the darkness when I'm like going through something. I like push away the world and I like go into this deep place where I do all this work and then I come out when it's over. And I feel like even since I've moved here, I've gone through so much the past 3 years or 3 months that I don't even know where to start with it. But I'm telling you, this work really encompasses it. Like everything I talked about today with you and those few practices of mine that I shared with you, I will never not do this work again. Every single day is a practice to open myself up to life even more. And every single day is a practice to expand my mind beyond what I believed possible for myself. And I promise you, if you use life's experiences to open your heart and to teach you something, every single day will be different because you aren't playing the old information over and over. You're using the presence of what's happening in the unfolding moment to learn how to free yourself even more. And I guarantee you, if you write down the life that you want to experience, if you really start to dream bigger than you've ever dreamt before, and if you really listen to what we talked about today and these practices that I shared with you, I promise you, mark my fucking words, you will not be the same person once you start integrating this work. I promise you. And again, if you guys ever have any questions or you have any breakthroughs, yes, but like please share those too. I want you guys to know that this community is here to support you. It's here to elevate you. It is here to see you for exactly who you are and the life that you're building. And thank you for posting that, Eric. My link tree is the best way to stay connected to the Dream family right now. I recommend joining the Telegram chat because that's where basically all of us are right now, well, at least like 96 of us, but that's where we all hang out in between live streams and anything that people are moving through, whether it's a dream or whether it's a question or an idea. People are chatting in there, supporting each other, and it's a really nice, beautiful place just to be supported and celebrated for whatever you're experiencing right now. And I just want you to know I love you. I really, really love you. I love all of you, and I'm super grateful that we can talk about shit like this, because this is literally what is going to give you everything you want. And what you actually want is to feel fulfilled, is to feel peace, is to feel successful, is to feel worthy, is to feel love running through you constantly. And I promise you this work will help you not only free yourself, but design the life that you deserve to live. So I hope that was helpful. I hope that gave you some good, cool things to think about. And that's it for me, guys. I gotta get some housework done. I gotta get some videos done. And I really appreciate you guys spending this time with me. So again, join the Telegram if you would like to stay connected to the Dream Fam. And we do live stream currently every Monday at 5 p.m. Pacific time, unless it's said otherwise. The schedule's been a little bit everywhere recently, so just make sure to join the Telegram if you're interested in updates at all. But thank you guys so much for joining, for tuning in. I really appreciate you guys. I also got to show you guys my pants. I don't know if I've shown you my pants. Look how cool these are. Everything's backwards, so I can't show you guys correctly. It's inverted. But anyways, I just wanted to show you my cool pants. I hope you like them. Thank you. I love you guys. And I will see you next time. As always, I'm sending you endless love, endless lucidity, and take care.